Hello, it's Scott Manley here, and I've got a video about my mission to Paul. I hope you enjoy it, and I wish you well in your travel around the universe. Actually, I'm only joking, it's not really Scott Manley, it's me, Mr. Tony, or Matthew, from LOL Gamers for Life. I hope you're all well. What I'm actually doing in this mission is going to Paul, as I introduced in my Scott Manley voice. But what I've had to do is speed up the video, edit it a little bit in order to show you the entirety of the mission and how I got there, the maneuvers I used, at which point I placed my nodes, etc, etc. I've had to speed it up because it was around 55-minute long, and I can't expect you to spend your precious time watching my video for that long. So what we see here is a simple circular orbit around the kerbin. At the apoapsis, place your node, burn completely until you get a circular orbit, and then cease your burn. You want to conserve fuel as much as possible. Sorry, I've slipped back into Scott Manley mode. Apologies for that. I should call this a parody or something. Anyway, this next stage is escaping from the kerbin atmosphere and going out into the big bad universe, or solar system. Again, you want to use as little fuel as possible, and make sure you get this straight line going out into this blue line, which forms a circle around the sun, leading to our orbit of the sun. Now what you'll notice is me maneuvering the nodes because my planar orbit is out. The ascending node and descending node are the points at which you should adjust. You want to get them as close as possible to 0 degrees in order to make your encounter with the planet you're going for as easy as possible. You can see me messing around with it a lot here. It took me a while to get what I wanted. And then once you get to the node in T, which you see at the bottom, you want to get that to about halfway from the estimated burn. So if the estimated burn says 10 seconds, you want your node in T to say T minus 5 seconds. That way you're completing half of the burn before the node and half of the burn after for maximum efficiency. Now this next stage is my encounter with JOOL. Obviously, since I'm going to Pol, I'm going to need to aim for JOOL. And once I'm closer, I can find the moon Pol and change my encounter to that one. Now again, I've had to speed this up because it literally takes about a second for each day. You can see in the center of the screen here it says T minus 80 days. And it usually means about 1 second per day, so that's about 80 seconds. There's my beautiful spacecraft, looking awesome. Now I'm streaming a lot these days, guys, so all of this you can usually catch on my stream. That's at twitch.tv/LG4L Gaming Network. I hope to see you there. We've got a nice little community of people, all friendly, all full of tips and tricks, and it's well worth a visit. So hopefully you'll come along there and have a good time. Yeah, this next stage, I don't quite know why it made the encounter shake like that. It was a bit disconcerting, but I could see there is an encounter there, so that's what I burnt for. And I'm burning, I want to approach it on the right hand side where this purple line is on the right hand side, because if I encounter it, if I go past the orbit of JOOL and swing back towards it, my orbital speed will be increasing, and that's not what we want. We want to be as slow as possible when we make our encounter with JOOL in order to reduce the amount of delta V necessary to get close enough to orbit JOOL and then move on to Pol. So yeah, what I'm doing is here, just making sure I'm going to get an encounter with as slower orbital speed as possible. So constant adjustment is needed in these maneuvers, and hopefully you can get close enough to get an encounter and then form your orbit with as low a delta V as possible. Now sometimes you'll come up too fast on planets and the delta V necessary to attain a circular orbit around the planet will be too high and you just won't have the fuel all the delta V capacity in your rocket to complete that maneuver. Now when I talk of delta V, that actually stands for change in velocity. I'm sure you already know that, but I'll give you the information anyway. Here's my encounter, and you can see I needed to change my delta V by 1,657 meters per second. Once I find the blue node, I can fast forward time and move towards when I need to complete my burn. But I'm actually doing it from here because I'm still quite sometimes rookie at the game, and sometimes concerned that I'm not gonna get to where I want to go in as efficient manner as possible. Since this video, I've actually learned that it's much more efficient to burn at the periapsis, but all I was concerned with was getting there on this one, and pleasingly I did so. You can see here I created another node. Once I get there and complete my burn, I'll have near enough a circular orbit around JOOL. Now there's various efficiencies to be gained in at which point you create your circular orbit and so on and so forth. But as I say, I'm not an expert. I'm certainly not Scott Manley. Nobody's Scott Manley. That guy's a genius. Anyway, what I did was here messing around with the nodes, trying to get as close as possible to where I want to go. Now you could see the green circle is my target. That's what I'm aiming for. Right in the center, further in than the pink circle is that's JOOL. JOOL is a gaseous planet. You can't land on it. Any attempts to do so will cause your Kerbal to die. So if you care about your Kerbals, don't try and land on JOOL. I learnt that the hard way and perished many a Kerbal. Even though I knew I couldn't land, I still tried. I'm stupid like that. So anyway, what I'm trying to do is find at which point I can get an encounter with Paul. You can see my orbit is larger than Paul's, so Paul's going to orbit JOOL quicker than I am. And at some point I'll be able to get an encounter, then reduce my orbit, and hopefully get an encounter slow enough, at which point I'll be able to aim for a landing. And what you see here is an encounter I made requiring a 211.5 meters per second delta V, which is not bad at all. My orbital speed is not that high. I've had many much higher. If you try and get to Moho, you'll see what I mean. It requires some ridiculous delta V changes, at least in my attempts so far. Anyway, I've got liquid fuel of 299, so I'm pretty sure I can make this encounter and get a landing. So let's complete this maneuver. And then when you see that blue and orange encounters, that's when I'm having the encounter and when I'm escaping the encounter. So I'm zooming in a little bit just to check what's happening, slow down time a little bit. And there you can see, there is Paul. Nice and rocky. As it says in the info, this moon was especially hard to spot as it looks just like a pollen grain, particularly when observed through telescopes based near dusty fields. Ha ha, the humor. Paul was finally discovered when someone decided to write down the location of the pollen after having given up on yet another blah 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 blah. So yeah, what I need to do here is reduce my delta V again in order to circularize around, let the gravity, minimal as it is, pull me in a little bit on Paul. Then I created another node, another maneuver which circularizes my orbit around. Once I've got the circular orbit, then I'm going to try and aim for a landing, which, looking at my liquid fuel, 213, should be possible. You can see on the Pol parameters on the right hand side of the screen, there's no atmosphere present on Pol, so air braking is not an option. Here we go, me trying to create my node and my maneuver to land on Pol. Alright, just sending back some data just in case the mission goes awry. We need that data to... I'm playing the career mode, so I want to unlock as much science as possible. And then I can get all the parts without using any mods or anything like that. Just a little personal achievement I want to get. You can see this planet's very rocky, so you want to be careful about where you land. Can be hazardous if you come in too close to a large mountain or something like that. So as I circularize around the planet, careful to choose where I land. It's preferable to land on the side that's in sunlight, because unless you've got lights on your vehicle, and even then it's still going to be really difficult to land on the dark side, because it's very difficult to judge without much shadowing. Very difficult to judge where the actual landing will be. Planet's pretty one. It's got lots of these funny looking little nodules on it. Be kind of cool if it told you more about that, but it's quite an interesting terrain. I think it'd be fun to take a buggy here and like go on some cool little journeys across the terrain. Could be fun. Do some jumps, do some abseiling with the Kerbals. Could be real good fun. Anyway, I'm coming into land. Bit of a stutter stop, but I had enough fuel to recover. Wasn't ideal, but the gravity on this place is really low. It's a pretty ugly landing system as well. In later missions I've revised it, so the landing module's actually even smaller without the side gas canisters. Excuse me. And as you can see, as I came out of the ship to do reports and stuff, I actually tipped the ship over. Then I went skidding down the hill. I managed to bring myself to a stop, only to see my space rocket go flying past me. At this point, I was like, God damn it! Where the hell am I gonna find my ship again? I'll just leave it. I'll write a little message here. As you can see, I did it on a live stream, and then it was time to go chase after my rocket. Gravity's pretty low here, so I can use my jetpacks, but as you can see, that launches me miles, so you have to be really careful, like on these off-world planets. And I'm sure that my Kerbin appreciated that dive bomb into the ground. And yet again, that set me into an immense skid. This is a cool hill. You could just imagine having a really good, suitable buggy just skidding around on this surface. I bet it could be awesome. Maybe that's a plan for a future mission. I really like that, I think. Got lots of future missions planned, you know, building space stations. I've got one currently being built, sorry. I want to use some of the mods like Kethane, so I can do mining operations, stuff like that. But back to this mission, and my Kerbal is trying to somehow find his ladder and reattach himself so he can actually be safe. As I've explained in my previous videos, I base myself on the Russians, and I know the Russians aren't really like this, but in my head they are. And basically, they don't bring their Kerbals home. We are Russian cosmonauts, and we stay on board ship until we perish, or run out of food, or die from radiation exposure. Anyway, this is what we do. He lives in there, he sends back data, and everybody back at the Russian space station is happy. You actually get loads of data from these off-world planets, so if you are playing the career mode, try and get yourself to the moon or Minmus and get loads of data from there. Make sure you've got all the equipment on your ship that you land, because you can get seismic data, gravioli detectors, temperature readings, barometers for pressure readings, atmosphere analysis. You can get a little nodule to put on top. It's really useful stuff and can increase your data amount and the amount of parts available to you significantly, so I recommend doing that. Anyway, the video's nearly come to the end, so I'd just like to thank you all for watching and taking the time. Please come along to my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/LG4L Gaming Network. The link will be below in the description. And I hope to see you there sometime soon. Take care. Bye-bye.